Hello, welcome to Network. My name is Pamela Lezondi with your technology and social media news, SABC Network. And that's on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It's newsnetwork at sabc.co.za. On email, this week, Twitter poll is asking you about whether you've armed yourself in order to best protect your child when they're doing stuff online. This as we've been commemorating Child Protection Week. Results of that are coming up later in the program. Here's what's coming up in this particular episode. We discuss research on internet connectivity in Africa. We visit a startup in the drones sector. In our conversation, we chat about the theft of batteries that ensure that we continue to remain connected even when the lights are off. New research by the IDC shows that many in Africa still can't communicate or don't communicate to the internet. This could be for various reasons, including governments who stifle communication. Producer Faith Manzini has this one for us.
The digital age keeps evolving, yet Africa still has the lowest number of internet connections. Liquid Intelligent Technologies says 22% of the continent has access despite experiencing the most growth in regional connectivity. Chief Commercial Officer at Liquid Intelligent Technologies, Dr. Craig van Rooyen, explains the challenge of digital connectivity.
When we look at most of our population that sits on the outskirts, it becomes very difficult for companies to invest there because of the return of the investment takes a little bit longer and it affects their rate of return. So that is a fundamental problem going forward in terms of why we're lagging behind in bringing internet services to where it's required in South Africa.
Dr. van Rooyen added that the impact of digital connectivity can improve the GDP.
There are a lot of statistics related to the amount of internet penetration that cascades into an increase in GDP. And some of that has obviously been offset because of the challenges that we have with load shedding.
The International Data Corporation of South Africa explained the numbers and impact of internet connection.
Africa is sitting at about 40% internet access. And different countries obviously will have, much higher than that, others much lower than that. For example, some countries in Africa are sitting at internet penetration rates of up to 85%, whereas others are sitting at a measly, 10%, like countries like South Sudan, for example.
Gyokantse says infrastructure and other factors play a role in the low number of connectivity.
Just really comes down to the investment in infrastructure. It comes down to affordability of the internet, compared to many other essential, livelihood.
SA regulators have been trying to clamp down on high costs of data in the country. According to cable.co.uk, South Africa is ranked 136 worldwide for the cost of mobile data. The most expensive place in the world to buy mobile data is in Equatorial Guinea. For students, data affordability can be a challenge. Students at the Vaal University of Technology in Gauteng say the university has made it easier for them to stay connected.
Prior to 2020, internet connectivity was a bit of a challenge, as I was using more data than anything. I didn't really have the resources to access internet data. But now that we're in 2023, I have Wi-Fi, I have data, I have hybrid of both.
Personally, as one person that wants to venture into content creating, internet has changed my life because I've asked us to do everything using my phone. Even if I want to learn editing, whatever, the internet that is there for me to actually learn everything through the analytics, digital marketing, through everything.
Just before elections in 2021, the Ugandan authorities ordered a shutdown of social media ahead of the country's presidential elections. Eswatini is also accused of shutting down the internet during violent protests in 2021. Other countries in the African continent, such as Egypt, Ethiopia, and Sudan, have previously shut down the internet. Ugandan ICT minister explained the move.
But I think there is a complete misinterpretation, deliberate or otherwise, by some of you, the media, and the other activists and civil society, just trying to vulgarize the law when the law is actually brought in good faith. Because the Computer Misuse Act has been there since 2011. What we did in the Parliament recently was just to cause some few amendments. But basically the import of the law is not to gag Ugandans from communicating, is not to limit freedom of expression.
The IDC and Liquid Intelligent Technologies says boosting Africa's connectivity requires a huge investment and significant regulatory reform. They say high connectivity has tremendous benefits for SMMEs, which are crucial towards boosting a country's GDP.
We often talk about the digital divide that leaves many women out of connectivity and out of tech innovation. But UN Women is trying to help in this regard. They held an event that took place in Johannesburg. Here's a producer, Lebo Mukomela.
The scale of female versus male's participation in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics-driven careers remain helter-skelter. According to research by non-profit organization RMI, women represent less than 35% of STEM graduates globally. However, the underrepresentation of young African females is higher compared to the rest of the world. These are various reasons for this disparity.
When I look at Europe particular, I think it's a bit easier, specifically with regards to the responsibilities young girls have in a household. So traditionally you don't have a situation, that if you have in a single parent household, everybody has to contribute to the survival of the family. And so that's different in Europe, and hence you have many more female kids and girl childs which are finishing school, which are finishing matric and are not dropouts at the end of the day. You have also lower child maternity situation in Europe, because kids are really going and finishing their studies, and I think that's a fundamental difference. And here I do believe for South Africa, it's also one part of the program that we want to help young girls to find the purpose in the process, to understand that it's worthwhile to finish your education.
It is not all doom and gloom, as there have been notable efforts to address these challenges and promote gender equality in STEM education in Africa. Initiatives such as Techno Girl introduce young girls from underprivileged backgrounds into STEM careers through job shadowing, as well as This African Girls Can Code initiative spearheaded by UN Women Germany in collaboration with Siemens Africa.
So African Girls Can Code is this super exciting initiative that we're doing in a number of countries across the continent, including here in South Africa, training young girls, young women to be coders, to develop into these careers. And the young women, the girls who are involved, are in their kind of final years of schooling. So this really can be a career, and they don't necessarily have to have a job. Of course, I hope they find one, but they can actually work for themselves when they develop these coding skills.
We see in our business that digitalization and the application of coding and digital skills becomes more and more important. And when we have to recruit for these kind of skills, it becomes challenging. So when we received the request from our headquarters, if this would be an initiative we would be interested in to support, I thought that could be something where we can source young people, because for us it's always difficult to find people and young people coming out of high school or other institutions and then choosing a work experience and coming to work for a company.
These young ladies were identified as STEM subject enthusiasts from school around South Africa. Some of them shared with us their excitement of being beneficiaries of this program.
Being here, experiencing this opportunity, being taught about how empowering young girls young women and how this world works with technology and coding. Like it is a very interesting thing to be like to be experiencing as a young girl.
I never had that confidence to stand out in front of people, but since I attended this program, I have that confidence that I can do anything and I can be myself without anyone controlling me.
Initially launched in April 2022, the Africa Girls Can Code program is currently running its first round of workshops in the journey of equipping more than 600 young women in South Africa, Kenya, Rwanda, Senegal, and Uganda with digital skills.
For commercial purposes, not everyone can fly a drone, and sometimes you need services that can help in this regard, and not very many people have professional training on how to fly a drone. In this week's Startup Corner, we check up with an organization that's trying to help people in the drone sector.
My name is Ndilisa Didiza. I am the founder and director of Khotatso Innovations, which is a location intelligence business. We help customers to make more informed location-based decisions. And what that essentially means is that a lot of, for example, projects happen at a location. Service delivery happens at a location. Climate change impacts happen at locations. And if we are not able to locate those areas of impact, if we're not able to locate where the people are, then we can't make decisions in terms of helping them or in terms of mitigating the effects of climate change. So what we do at Khotatso Innovations is to assist people, mostly customers, to be able to make whatever decisions they need to make regarding those areas, because now they've got the location, they know where is what happening. So we do this through what we call geographical information systems, which is normally known as GIS, and remote sensing. So on the GIS side, we would take geographical data, like the term says, geographical data, location data, and we analyze it so that at the end of the day, you can be left with, for example, a map, or it can be a tool, a dashboard that allows you to get insight from whatever environment or whatever business problem that you have. And then secondly, on the remote sensing side, that's where we would normally look at using, for example, aerial photography, where you get a drone or a manned aircraft that flies an area, because we're saying if you are going to make decisions, they need to be up to date. You cannot make decisions on image that was flown 6 months ago that you find on Google Earth, for example. And I'm in no way saying that Google Earth is not useful. However, for decisions that are accurate, you need to have data that is up to date. So we would then fly the area, for example, and that's a form of remote sensing. In other areas, we are required we actually use satellite imagery, especially if you are studying factors or phenomena such as land, air, water, and you're covering quite a large area. That's where we would use remote sensing, and we can derive insight. We can look at vegetation health. We can look at crop health in agriculture. We can look at water issues. South Africa is a water scarce, nation. We can do those studies within remote sensing and GIS.
It is SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za. On email. After the break, we have a conversation about what happens when backup batteries are stolen from those network towers that make sure that we continue to use our mobile devices when there's no power. It is the SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za. On email. We've been hearing that a lot of batteries that serve as a backup system for mobile phone network towers have been getting stolen in recent times. And over a couple of months, we've also been hearing that people who are found with these batteries have been getting arrested as well. It's not just a problem in South Africa. Botswana has come out to say that they're facing similar challenges, and there's a belief that there is an increase in international demand in these batteries. So to tell us more about this is Themba Ndubane. He is CEO at Zinde Consortium. Hello, and thank you very much for being a part of our network, Themba. Maybe if we can start by telling us what the use of these batteries actually is.
These batteries are the ones that keep mobile network operators' base stations running. So in the event that there's a power outage, these base stations rely on these alternative energy solutions, which are these lithium batteries, and they're able to keep them running. These batteries are very efficient because they're able to run for longer hours, and they're easy to maintain, which makes them to be a more feasible solution for mobile network operators.
All right, Themba, why would these batteries get stolen? Do they get used elsewhere as well?
Well, South Africa isn't the only country that is experiencing power outages. Other African countries and mostly even our neighboring countries have also been struggling with power outages or unreliable network grid or the power grid. So as a result, there has been a huge demand of backup batteries, especially for companies and individuals that know their value but are not willing to pay the price. So as a result, we've seen this surge of syndicates, well-organized syndicates that are willing to put their lives at risk because they know the value they get every time that they're able to steal these batteries and be able to resell them in these other countries. But the other use or cause of this surge that we have actually identified and noticed over time is that after South Africa had a crackdown or stopped the import, rather the export of scrap metals, we have actually seen now the surge in the sharp increase in the number of batteries being stolen, mostly by people that are willing to sell these batteries to battery recycling companies as scrap batteries because that's easy cash for them.
Mobile phone network providers have said that they will now probably stop using lithium batteries. What are the alternatives, and do they work just as well?
There are many alternatives that are currently being developed. Some of them are still being studied in other countries. We have the likes of aluminium, the likes of magnesium, especially magnesium being an element that is easily available and easy to mine. There's been that shift, and research is being done on whether they can be able to create magnesium batteries that are easier to maintain like lithium batteries are, and that are also a bit cheaper so that they can be an alternative. But in all honesty, due to its efficiency, lithium batteries are actually the best kind of energy storage solutions that you have that are also widely available in the market at the moment.
Cell phone network providers have been replacing them when they get stolen. What would actually happen if they said, enough is enough, we're not replacing these batteries anymore if they get stolen?
That's going to be a very bleak picture because we will have a total network blackout in certain areas, which we're actually already starting to see because, mobile operators or network service providers have actually been struggling of late with a lot of vandalism that has been taking place at most of their base stations. In fact, in some areas, when they were looking at the cost, they found that it's actually not feasible to continue replacing the batteries that are being stolen at the rate that they are being stolen currently.
So in your view, what's the ultimate solution? Because it seems like network providers have provided backup, but backup gets stolen too.
We're actually sitting with a serious crisis in South Africa due to these rolling blackouts that seem to be increasing more and more. All other alternatives are actually more expensive, which is why we're seeing even the government is struggling, to come up with alternatives to their coal-fired power stations, and actually continuing to encourage, the general public to use, solar systems and alternative battery-powered energy solutions. So I think what I would suggest is, as a public, we just need to continue educating ourselves even more in order to understand, how we can use electricity more efficiently in our houses. We would need to also, keep up with the load shedding schedules. But more importantly, if we're able to afford alternative power solutions like your solar or battery storage solutions, then we would need to increase our securities in our homes to make sure that they are safer. And in that way, we can be able to then get value for money, because it would be very expensive for anyone to keep replacing every time that these backup solutions are actually being stolen.
All right, Themba Ndubane, thank you very much for being a part of our network. Themba Ndubane there is a CEO at Zinde Consortium. It is SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. News network at sabc.co.za and email. Stay with us. SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Welcome back. Here's what else took place in the rest of the world in the tech space.
Chip maker Nvidia has joined an elite club of US companies sporting a $1 trillion market value. The company has quickly become one of the biggest winners of the artificial intelligence boom.
$1 trillion all by itself is sort of an arbitrary, line in the sand. But it's hard to say that it's not deserved. Artificial intelligence and accelerated computing is a trend that has been building for a while. I think we finally hit an inflection point where it's becoming increasingly clear that there is a real use case for this technology, and not just, even in large enterprises and in the cloud, but I mean with the advent of ChatGPT and generative AI and large language models, like the typical people on the street are finally getting an idea of what can be done with this.
The stock's value has tripled in less than 8 months, reflecting the surge of interest in artificial intelligence following rapid advances in generative AI, which can engage in human-like conversation and craft everything from jokes to poetry. In China, experts and industry insiders explored the hot topic of brain-computer interface at the Tech Summit held in Beijing, one of the biggest fields where BCI technologies are applied in medical care. Researchers in Beijing's Tianjin Hospital have opted to use wearable devices that pick up on what's called EEG, a recording of brain activity.
他要想着去喝水，那么他脑电图里边如果出现什么样的一个信号，代表着他想喝水。那么这是现在目前正在积极摸索的。
Experts say there is a long way to go before brain-computer interface can be reliably applied and used. Moving to India, a museum in India's northern Gurugram city is helping visitors understand the evolution of photography and videography.
एक चीज़ जो मुझे सबसे ज़्यादा इंटरेस्ट करती थी, ये फोटोग्राफी स्टार्ट कैसे हुई है और किस तरह के डिवाइसेस थे, कैमरास थे, तो वो फिर जब मैंने इकट्ठे करने शुरू किए तो फिर ये कैमरा बन गया, म्यूजियम बन गया.
Founded in 2009, Museu Camera accounts for the largest non-profit crowd-funded center for photographic arts in Southeast Asia.
It's Child Protection Week, and a lot of threats and dangers that children are facing now happens online. This week, our Twitter poll is asking you if you feel you've armed yourself well enough to know how to keep your children protected when they're doing their activities online. And that's it. So that's all we have for you. Find us on SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It is News Network at sabc.co.za and email. From me, it's Pumela Lezondi and the rest of the team. Bye-bye.